Hello, good afternoon. Well, tomorrow, Tuesday the 15th of May 2018, I'm riding a 500km DIY Audax, and it's based on one of my favourite calendar event routes. So the calendar event in question is the Brevet Cymru 400. It goes from Chepstow near the Severn Bridge through mid Wales over to the Welsh coast at Newquay, which is just below Aberystwyth, and then comes back a slightly different route. It's quite hilly, it's very scenic. So what I've done is just bolted on a Bath to Chepstow section at the beginning, and then afterwards when I get back to Chepstow I'll ride back to Bath. I just need to add a little spur on at the end through the two tunnels near where I live out to Midford and back, just to make the distance up to slightly over 500km. I think it's 506km. So here's a map of the route. The main section here is the 400km calendar event. So as you can see, I've just started from Bath, joined it at Chepstow, then when I finish back at Chepstow I'll ride then past my house to Midford before finishing back at my house. So what I like so much about the DIY system is it allows me to add an extra dimension. I'm able to ride to and from my house, convert a 400km calendar event into a 500km DIY. And the other thing I like about DIY is it gives me the control and the flexibility to just change the route how I want it and adapt on the road. So a rough plan is to have my first meal at Monmouth there on the way out, and then there's a crossover point at Llandovery there. That's actually control on the calendar event before the ride over to the coast, and then getting an evening meal there. When I get back to Llandovery it'll be around about midnight, I'm guessing. And then there's a long section along the A40 which is actually quite a quiet road at the best of times, but in the middle of the night it should be exceptionally quiet. But somewhere along there I'll be sleeping. The time allowance is 35 hours and 23 minutes, which is very generous, so I'm hoping to have quite a substantial sleep. And that's another reason I like riding this by myself. I can just sleep when I want to. So here's my sleep kit in its stuff sack. Gives you an idea of the size of it. So the length of my hand up to about my wrist watch area, and then the width of a hand. That takes up about a quarter of my Super C saddlebag, and it's actually quite light as well. I know a lot of people would choose not to sleep on a 400 or 500km ride. I've got a 35 hour 23 maximum time allowance. I intend to use most of it as well. I'll always try and keep an hour in hand just for contingencies, so I'm hoping to have quite a substantial sleep on this ride. So here it is, all laid out next to each other. So firstly, an old space blanket which I just roll up. I use that as a ground sheet to protect the inflatable sleeping mat. And also, if I do get a little bit cold in my bivvy bag, it does act as an emergency inner layer. So that's dual purpose, that is well worth carrying. It weighs next to nothing. Next, I've got my Nature Hike inflatable pillow. That's really good. Less than probably about half my hand size. My bivvy bag is the Soul Escape Light breathable bivvy bag. And then lastly, my X-Bed Sinmat UL7M sleep mat. I'll try my best to do a quick bit of video once again when that's all laid out, either just before I sleep or soon after I've woken up. Although the electronic DIY system completely dispenses with the need to carry paper, I do in fact carry a list on longer rides of the key places I'm going to be passing through. So let me try and explain. First of all, at the top there's a total distance in metric. That's the distance that is going to be validated by Audax for this ride. The moment I'm on the road moving, I revert to miles, the imperial system. My Garmin is calibrated for miles. Also all the road signs are in miles, just much easier for me to gauge my progress on the road. I can then start forming a little bit of a mental map, so let me try and explain. For instance, Monmouth at 45 miles, I aim to get my breakfast there. This is not set in stone, this is just rough planning that can be changed and adapted on the road. Newquay on the coast, 175 miles. I plan to get my evening meal there, which will allow me to ride through the night. Somewhere around this stage, Trescastle on the A40, I intend to find somewhere to sleep, and then there's the finish home, 314 miles. So I know from experience the section heading towards the coast between Tregaron and Newquay, that section geographically is actually quite hard. It's very hilly, so physically that's going to be very demanding. But by using this mental map, I can also now see easily somewhere on that section is going to be the halfway point. So if I am struggling with fatigue and the terrain, I can give myself a bit of a mental boost by just telling myself that I've passed the halfway point. It's always a massive boost. So you can see by just drawing up this very simple list of places, I can start to get an idea of where I may want to eat, where I may want to sleep, what's very likely to be quite a challenging section, and how I can help deal with that by using a mental boost. This is a very basic outline of a plan. I'm very uncomfortable with too much detail. It feels too rigid and I feel constrained. But as you can see, by just taking a minute or so to write down a few key places, it does allow me to just prepare for what I think are going to be the key points of the ride. So that's a little heads up about my next planned big ride, the Brevet Cymru 500km DIY. I will shoot some movie, take some pictures, and I hope to be able to put a video together telling the story about how I get on. So, see you soon.